Good morning. Cheers.
Cheers. Good morning.
Good morning, Chris. Cheers.
Good morning. Cheers. Good to be here at the RecordKrate Wake Forest.
All right. My coffee brewed.
Woohoo!
It was a brutal brewing of the coffee. We'll give a couple minutes for some people to come in, and then we'll start talking records.
Love it.
Yeah. Ooh, the first one to arrive is Buy-in Space. Good morning, Myra Elaine. Cheers. So this is Chris. Chris is gonna show us some records today, and yeah.
Go ahead with the first one.
Myra's the first one, so she earns those extra RecordKrate bonus points for being here first. And good morning, Joyce, with her beautiful cat. Good morning, Joyce. Cheers.
Good morning, Joyce.
What's shaking, Joyce? Yeah. I had my hands on the list yesterday, so I think it's over there. I think I can grab it. Chris, why don't you jump in and start showing us some records?
All right, it's that time. Hello, everyone. My name is Chris, and I'm going to start with the first one. This is my favorite Bob Dylan album. This is Infidels by Bob Dylan, which came out in the 80s, produced by Mark Knopfler of the Dire Straits. And I really love this album, even though it's not his most recognized, like Blood on the Tracks or Bringing It All Back Home. But if you like religious Dylan, you got it here. If you like political Dylan, love song Dylan, all the songs are just solid. They sound good. And I absolutely love this album. It is definitely my favorite. And I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan. Love him.
Is that a Jesus record?
He does have some Jesus songs on it, but he also has his political songs and love songs. It really runs the gambit. It's almost, he just hits all the territory with this particular album, unlike, say, Slow Train Coming, which is only Jesus, or But on the Tracks, which is all political. This is a bit of everything.
Okay. Yeah. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Mike.
Cheers.
Very good album. My second one is another one, and that is Subdivisions by Rush. This is definitely their most 80s album.
And what's the name of that record, Chris?
Sorry, this is Signals by Rush.
Signals. Okay.
Well, I said Subdivisions because that's my favorite song on the album. That's the first track. But I consider this Rush at the height of their powers. I love this album. They have the guitar work by Alec Lifeson is phenomenal. Geddy Lee, of course, Neil Peart. You're getting to see the masters of their craft doing what they do best. And I really picked this album also because I got this album originally, on cassette tape back in the 80s when I was living in Frederick, Maryland. And I lived in a subdivision, the stereotypical sub that they sing about. And I was kind of the outcast. So I had a lot of personal relation to this album. It really means a lot to me, what it represents. So
and would you say that was the peak of the height? What did you say of Rush? The peak, the height? What did you say?
To me,
yeah,
I consider this the peak of their powers.
Peak of their powers.
The peak of their powers. That's not to say that Moving Pictures or 2112 aren't amazing, because they are. But to me, this is my favorite. I love this album. I love all the songs. I love the way they play. And it's fantastic. And there's a weird factoid, and I don't know if this is true or not, but a coworker who's also a Rush fan tried to tell me that the R in Rush on the album cover is supposed to look like a dog, and the H is supposed to look like the dog peeing.
Yes. Yes. I totally agree with that. Let's sit a little closer so everybody else can see that.
You can see a dog head in the R, and then, of course, the dog's doing his business with the H.
Yeah. How about that? The peak of their powers.
Peak of their powers. And
Yeah.
I love it. All right, but the next one is a very special one to me. Probably my favorite album of all time, and it's the first album I ever purchased back in 1982, although it was released in 81. Ghost in the Machine by the Police. And once again, this is the best of the best of the Police. I actually have this logo here. It's supposed to represent Andy Summers, Sting with the spiky hair, and then with the fop here on the hair, that's Stuart Copeland. Probably one of the more political albums that Police did. They sound really tight. It's more dark instead of like the frenetic punk reggae sound they had going with their previous works. This is the Police going in a new direction. I absolutely love this album, from Spirits in the Material World all the way to Darkness, which is the last song. I actually even have these logos tattooed on my back.
Oh, wow.
But
So
yes,
Myra's referring to the Rush record. I don't want to know what the U and the S are.
No idea. But one thing I've always appreciated about Rush is they have stellar songwriting, and Neil Peart writes a lot of their songs, and he's definitely been known to put a lot of layers and hidden things. So it wouldn't surprise me if the U and the S meant something. Who knows? I wouldn't put it past
Neil
him.
wrote the lyrics, correct?
Neil Peart wrote a lot of the lyrics for most of their stuff.
Yeah,
And
it was Alex and
Geddy Lee.
Geddy who wrote the music.
Yeah. And Alex Lifeson is probably my favorite guitarist. I think he's tragically underappreciated. Because he's not flashy like the others, but his skill is phenomenal. Just like in this album, Stuart Copeland is by far my favorite drummer, even though he's not going to get the Neil Peart or John Bonham accolades, but he's consistent, solid, and has just such a unique style. And even after he did the Police, he was in other bands. He was doing movie soundtracks and scores.
Chasing Birds.
Yeah, Chasing Birds.
So is that the actual record that you purchased?
This one is not. The original one I got lost through the sands of time, but this is one of those few musical works where I own almost every format. I had this on album, on cassette tape, CD, and MP3. So one of the few that I own at every format. This isn't the original, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
and I actually bought this at the Raleigh store maybe 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't realize how close we live to where Stuart grew up, in Virginia. And so have you ever driven up there to see the house he grew up in?
I have not. An interesting thing about Stuart Copeland is I believe it was his father worked for the intelligence community, and that kind of inspired how they got their name, the Police. Mm-hmm. Was through Stuart's father. Now the next album has a neat story to it, and it is the original one that I got. And it is Zenyatta Mondatta by the Police. Got this one also in 1982, and this is the original. I'm going to kind of try to zoom in, but being a dumb 13-year-old or 12-year-old, I wrote my name on the album cover, Larr, because I was being stupid. But this was their third album after Regatta de Blanc. Definitely more reggae, a little political. I love this album. It's just mellow. The musicianship is phenomenal. But interesting story about how I got this album. After I got Ghost in the Machine, I loved it so much I wanted to get another Police album, but being 12 years old, I had no money. Christmas hit. Oh, what's that?
Did you steal it?
I didn't steal it, no. After Christmas that year, a month later, I got an Atari 2600 for Christmas, and it came out with Space Invaders was the pack-in game. And my dad bet me $20 of my Christmas money that he could beat me in it. And we played for hours and I won. And then the next day, my sister, who's also a huge influence of my musical tastes, drove me down to Francis Scott Key Mall in Frederick, and I bought this that day and love this album. So if it was not for Space Invaders, I would not have this album that I'm holding before you. And
you can thank Stella.
Thanks, Stella. And the interesting thing is Zenyatta Mandata, everything I've read, it's nonsensical. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't translate to anything. So how they came up with it, that I don't even know, but love this album. Good morning.
Good morning, TC. Cheers.
Cheers. Yes, I have all of the Police discography in terms of studios. So I have Outlandos d'Amour, Regatta de Blanc, Synchronicity, but this one and Ghost in the Machine are by far my two favorites of them. I also like Outlandos d'Amour, their first one. Love them. The sad thing about Ghost in the Machine is Andy Summers said that was kind of the beginning of the end of the band. And by Synchronicity, he related that they were less like this dynamic trio and more like a couple of backup musicians for Sting's pop career, is how he described it.
Good morning, Sean. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. But
let's welcome my cousin. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Hey, Dave, brother-in-law. Good to see you. As a matter of fact, my brother-in-law Dave and my sister held on to this album when I was moved from Maryland to Germany, and then I just recently got it back. And Dave is also the individual that introduced me to Bob Dylan's, which was the first album I showed, which was Infidels. So my sister, my brother-in-law are probably the two most who influenced me the most in my musical taste and what I like. And they made me the man I am today. All right. The next album, and this is from a musician I absolutely love. This is Aurora by Jean-Luc Ponty. And I got this at RecordKrate. As a matter of fact, I own several albums, almost all of them by Jean-Luc Ponty, and all of them I've gotten at RecordKrate and at a good price, because the musicianship is phenomenal, but he's not a household name. So it's also very affordable. And he is a violinist and a composer. And his interesting story with him was he was in I believe it was like the Paris Symphony Orchestra, and he was doing very well with that. But at night, he would go out to the various clubs and play jazz. Jazz is very popular in France, particularly Paris. So he was doing classical, early in the day, jazz late at night. And eventually he got to an impasse where he could not do both. And he had to make a choice. And he chose to go with more of the modern and jazz career. And he's been that way ever since. He's still alive. He's in his 70s, still making music. And just the musicianship, particularly his playing, is phenomenal. And there'll be times that you'll hear him playing violin and you think it's a synthesizer, but it's not. He's amazing on it. And it's definitely something you can put in the background. There's no lyrics. It's just music, just sound. It's beautiful music, funky music. I love it.
Very good. Chris, I love your sister's name.
Oh, Shannon or
David.
Oh, David.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Shannon. She must be on his account. Yes. Yeah, Shannon. Thank you for holding on to the albums for me while I was in Germany.
There you go.
Yeah, but Shannon and Dave, my sister and brother-in-law, big influences on my tastes. All right. The next album.
Nope. We've got to give away some RecordKrate bonus points. So here we go, folks. Album titles, artist. All right. You guys ready? Here we go. Hawks and Doves. Signals. Overnight Sensation. Crystal Ball. And Duke. Yeah, Duke. Okay. So we're looking for Hawks and Doves, Signals, Overnight Sensation, Crystal Ball, and Duke. I named the album. You name the artist. Okay. Chris, you can go ahead to the next one. It
All
takes a little bit of time for people to chime in.
This next one is not kind of a funny one, interesting one. This is one I got last year at the RecordKrate Raleigh store. High Energy by ktale. ktale. Back in the 80s, late 70s and 80s, ktale albums were literally the mixtapes of vinyl, where they just had various artists doing their stuff. This one had Blondie, Gloria Gaynor, Peaches and Herbs, Chic, who actually I got to see Neil Rogers and Chic last year. They were amazing. But basically, they're these, I don't want to say cheesy, because the songs and music is really good, but it's just they don't make albums like this. You know, these marketed high energy. And there was one called I used to have back in the 80s called Radioactive by ktale. And even though I definitely recommend picking one of these up, an album like this from ktale. They don't make anymore. They're neat. And I just think it's just a neat era in vinyl.
Well, we do have Wow.
Yep, we do have Wow. And
maybe somebody should bring back some ktale and repress them. Yeah, absolutely.
I think they're great. And you know, it's like the cool mixtape that your boyfriend or girlfriend gave you, but it was from ktale. And it's high energy. And they always had like these great high energy, radioactive, you know, disco fever. They always had like these great promotional names and outrageous art on it, but high energy. Loved it.
They were good at marketing. Mike Swinney says Rush. That's correct, Mike. 50 RecordKrate bonus points. Let's see, what's this for?
We have the Rush right there. Signal.
This is not correct, Mike. Try again. TC Raspberries may have had a record called Overnight Sensation, but that's not what's on the list. Styx is correct. Crystal Ball is correct, TC, but Mike came in first, and then Mike comes in with Genesis. Genesis is correct. Let's see what's left. Hawks and Doves. Got that one. Overnight Sensation. Got Crystal Ball. And Duke. We're looking for Duke. The ktale album has shown up on several channels lately. It's terrifying. I have a customer who's trying to collect every ktale album available.
It's the power of its high energy.
It's the power of love. Yeah.
Power of ktale.
All right.
So the next one, and my sister's watching, this is one that definitely came from her. And this is English Settlement by XTC. My favorite XTC album, one of my favorite albums of all time. Has good songs, Census Working Overtime, Runaways, Snowman, Melt the Guns. And this is an interesting version of it because it's almost leather. It almost feels like cracked leather, but it's not. One of their, I feel, is more underappreciated works, you know, compared to some of the like Skylarking and Drums and Wires. But I feel like English Settlement doesn't get enough love, and I think it's their best. And this is another one my sister introduced me to, and we were living in Maryland and played it all the time, and eventually I had to have it for myself.
Very cool. Yeah, I don't think that that was the title of the album. Darn. Mike comes in with Frank Zappa. Good guess, Mike, but that's not what we're looking. Yeah. Yeah. XTC. What's the name of the band?
Name of the band?
Is it XTC or Ecstasy?
I always called them XTC. But I did once have a friend that back when I was in college that pronounced the band In Excess as Inks.
Well, yeah, of course.
Well, yeah, I love Inks. Inks is great. But yeah, I've always just called it XTC. But now I'm going to get self-conscious and see Ecstasy, XTC, XTC.
There you go.
Great album. Love this album. You know, give it a listen, pick it up. You won't regret it. I think it's their best. All right. The next one I have is Call Me Insane by Dale Watson. This one I picked up at a live show of his, and he autographed it for me, which was really nice. He actually streams almost every day on Facebook. He does lots of shows. He was on Austin City Limits. He does old school country, not the Brad Paisley or Travis Tritt country, more like old school. He calls it Ameripolitan style, but just phenomenal. And he can perform, he can play, he can sing. I saw him at the Poorhouse in downtown Raleigh a few years ago. He also can knock them back, and he doesn't skip a beat. Great album from a great musician. And Dale Watson had opportunities to be signed with bigger labels, but he turned them down because he didn't want to lose his independence and his ability to maintain creative control. So he keeps it low and old school, and great album.
All right.
Where
does he live?
Texas. He's a resident of Texas. His favorite beer is Lone Star, the national beer of Texas, because he'll sing about it all the time. The next album is from probably one of the greatest musicians ever. And he did the score to my favorite movie ever. And that is Vangelis, who was the Greek electronic musician. And he did the soundtrack to Blade Runner, which was released in 1982 by Ridley Scott, Harrison Ford, Sean Young, Rutger Hauer. My favorite movie of all time. I love this movie, and I love this soundtrack. It's haunting and noir. It sounds old yet new every time I hear it, and just a great album. And if you haven't seen the movie, definitely check out. Give the movie a watch, although it is definitely a slow burn movie. Showing one that I did not have.
Voodoo.
Hoodoo. You do. Remind us of the babe.
Hey, good morning, Kurt. Thanks for joining us. Cheers.
Cheers.
Kurt was saying that Dell is from Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. Yeah.
Weird.
He was recently on Austin City Limits, or a rerun of it. And you can watch him stream on Facebook almost every day. With his band. It's pretty good. But yeah, Blade Runner. And then they did a sequel in 2017 called Blade Runner 2049, where Hans Zimmer did the soundtrack to that. And it also sounds phenomenal. But this one, I think, you can't top this one. This is the original and the best.
Very cool. I like Blade Runner.
Answer
some of these questions. Duke was by Genesis. Overnight Sensations was The Mothers. Hawks and Doves, Neil Young. I'm surprised you didn't know that one, Chris. Yeah. I'm going to do another round. I'm going to do Heart Like a Wheel. The Kids Are All Right. It's Only Rock and Roll. H2O. And Scary Monsters. All right. We'll let people chime in on that. There you go, Chris.
Another one. This is another movie soundtrack. Not much as a score, but the soundtrack, and probably one of my favorites, the soundtrack to Heavy Metal. Loved the movie. Some great bands on here. You have Cheap Trick, Devo, Black Sabbath Trust, Stevie Nicks, Don Felder. Just every song on here is amazing, and it really fits the theme of the album and the movie. If you've never seen it, it is an animated movie from the early 80s based on Heavy Metal Magazine. And it's fantasy and sci-fi, but it's very adult oriented. If you ever find the old Heavy Metal magazines, it's not one you'd want to let your 8 or 9-year-old kid look at, because it definitely had copious amounts of nudity and gore in it. But the stories and the artwork were phenomenal. And eventually they made a movie, and rated R, but great movie, great soundtrack. Absolutely love it. And one I recommend.
I tried watching the movie. I couldn't.
Good.
I could not. I'm
Now,
not much an anime person.
Unfortunately, this might have messed up some of your plans, Kirk, and I apologize for that. And this one...
Hold on a second. We got some answers here. Let's see what we have. The Who is correct. Mike, we need the full answer for that, sir. David has Scary Monsters. That is correct. And then Space Jesus. They did a parody of the movie Heavy Metal on the show South Park. Oh boy.
They called it. They called it. The episode was Major Boobage, because it was. They actually did a really good parody too. It was hilarious. And I'm not even a big South Park fan, but I saw that one and they were spot on.
Very good.
So the next one, since it's been guessed, is Scary Monsters and Super Creeps by David Bowie. This is my favorite Bowie album, and those that know me, David Bowie's my favorite musician of all time. Love David Bowie. Definitely got that from my sister. Matter of fact, a couple of years ago, she gave me a bunch of her old Bowie vinyl with little sticky notes saying, "You're the best, bro, and only you could have my Bowie." And I've kept him ever since. I love him. I cherish him. But of all the works he's done, and the thing about Bowie is every album is going to be a different experience. He's, as they say, a musical chameleon. This one's my favorite. It's jarring, it's loud, it's abrasive, but it can be also very soulful at the same time. Definitely, it's 80s, but it doesn't sound like it's from the 80s.
That's my favorite Bowie also.
It's my favorite. I love this one. I mean, Aladdin the Sane and Ziggy Stardust or Les Dance are always going to get the love, but I think this is his finest work. And that's the pinnacle of a very tall mountain.
There you go.
Love this album.
That is correct, Mike. That is correct. Yeah, let's see what's left here, folks. Heart Like a Will, 1974. We got that one. It's Only Rock and Roll and I Like It, 1974. We got that one. And then we got that one. So yeah, there's a couple more answers. You guys can chime in, earn 50 Record Crate bonus points.
All right. My next one is Kate Bush. Black Star was phenomenal. I loved it. I mean, I actually cried when David Bowie passed away. It was very sad when that happened. But Black Star prophetically was just the perfect way for musically for Bowie to exit our universe. And I remember 2016, that was when we lost so many great musicians. And I once kind of joked that, David Bowie never died. He just went to an alternate, better universe, and he was only letting the best join him. But this one here is Kate Bush on stage. This is a Japanese pressing. Kate Bush is probably my favorite. She is the yin to David Bowie's yang. If Bowie's my favorite male performer, Kate Bush. Oh, someone's doing some leaf blowing right in front of us. Kate Bush is definitely my favorite female performer. Her voice is amazing. It sounds phenomenal.
Hold on a second, Chris. Let that leaf blower pass by. They leaf blowed on Monday too. Darn, that should be the cleanest town we have. Oh boy. Hey, let's say good morning to Donald. Good morning, Donald. Cheers. Linda Ronstadt, Heart Like a Will is correct. The Rolling Stones, It's Only Rock and Roll, yeah. Hey, Donald, we missed you last night for Cocktail and Vinyl. Sean was back, and boy, did he talk about some jazz, which was really fun. Is it really a leaf blower?
They're right outside the window.
Wow.
Our
You
town
would
should be
think they could do the
spotless.
whole street in one day rather than we'll do this side on Monday and this side on Wednesday. Is today Wednesday? Yeah. So I think we got all those answers. All right. Sounds like they're going now, Chris.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So did Bowie ever do anything with Kate Bush?
I don't know if they did or not. Now, Kate Bush did do a phenomenal duet with Peter Gabriel on his album.
And I think about David Gilmour.
Oh yeah,
But
David Gilmour played guitar on several of her albums. They were apparently very close personal friends. Interesting thing about that Kate Bush Peter Gabriel song, Kate Bush was not the first choice for that song. They originally approached Dolly Parton, but Dolly Parton turned it down, and then Kate Bush got the gig. But this is just a great album. Got this at a traveling vinyl show many years ago, and it's from Japan. It's an import. It has a lot of songs I love on it. It's just a great album.
all right.
Speaking of live albums, the next one to me is not my favorite band, but I consider this probably one of the best live albums, if not the best live album ever made. And that is At Fillmore East by the Allman Brothers Band. And they're coming back with maybe the bigger machine. This is probably the best album by the Allman Brothers Band. And best live album ever made. It's tight, it's crisp, the musicianship is perfect. I actually compare this album to Dark Side of the Moon, where Pink Floyd made this perfectly constructed musical creation in Dark Side by meticulously producing it and modulating it and fine-tuning it. Where on this one, Allman Brothers just went to Fillmore East on their last day and just banged out a banger, and it is an amazing live album, and it's definitely one you should give a listen to.
Okay, very cool.
My next one, another 80s album, one of my son's favorite, Freeze Frame by the J. Giles Band. Yeah, definitely their most 80s album, their biggest popular sensation. Two of the songs, Freeze Frame and Centerfold, made the top 10s, but even the other songs just sound phenomenal. It has a cool, crisp sound. I consider Jay Giles to be very similar to Huey Lewis and the News in that they don't get a lot of attention, but the musicianship and performance are just so stellar. And they're not flashy like like a lot of modern bands, but Jay Giles, Huey Lewis, hands down, just masters at what they do. This next one is another master at his craft, and once again, not his most famous work, but I consider it his best, and that is Tutu by Miles Davis. He always gets recognized for Kind of Blue or Bitches Brew, but I consider this his best work. It's definitely his most powerful work. The sounds he makes, it's just an amazing album from Miles Davis, master of his craft. And one that, if you like jazz, fusion, Miles Davis, check it out if you haven't heard it.
Do you like that better than Kind of Blue?
I do. As a matter of fact, interesting factoid about Kind of Blue is Miles Davis wasn't that crazy about it. He referred to it as warmed over turkey many years later. That, I made this album and it's an amazing album, and it's an album that changed everything in jazz. They say there's two types of jazz albums, those before Kind of Blue and those after. But Miles Davis didn't think that way. He's like, I made this, but many years later, I got to move on and create something new. He just doesn't want to make 20 versions of Kind of Blue. And so that's when he did Bitches Brew and Miles in the Sky, Nefertiti, Tutu. That's what I loved about people like him, Kate Bush, David Bowie. They're always innovating. and doing something different. You're not going to get the same thing. And that's what separates the good from the great. And an old saying is, good is the enemy of great. They were great.
Very cool.
Another album, and this one is the long-awaited album by Steve Martin, the Steep Canyon Rangers. This was a limited press of only 50 albums. And I love Steve Martin, the Steep Canyon Rangers. I've seen them live several times. My wife, Melinda, she loves the band, and she got this as a birthday gift for me. That and the studio pressing with the artwork and picture on it. But just a great album, good album. I don't think it's their best album. I actually prefer Rare Bird Alert by them. But this one has significance just because it's such a rare pressing, and it was a personal gift for my wife, who we celebrated our 19th anniversary yesterday. So there's love in this album.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My next one is another album from a band I really don't like, but they made this one album, and it was near perfect album for me. I love it. And that is Breakfast in America by Supertramp. I'm not a Supertramp fan, but this one album, I love every song on it. This, just like Ghost in the Machine, I've owned this on every format. And I consider this one of the most ingenious album covers. And a lot of people, it took me years to get it because I could be stupid sometimes. But a lot of people it takes a while to figure out that she's the Statue of Liberty. And you're looking at an airplane flying to New York City made up of, plates and dishes and silverware. It's just a great album cover. And the songs and music on it are just phenomenal. And I guess this is Supertramp at the height of their power. I just don't really like their other stuff, but this album is A+ and one that everyone should listen to.
I like that record too. I like Supertramp. I like Crimes of the Century, Famous Last Words.
Yeah, in the quietest moments. But I don't know, for some reason I could never get. I appreciate their skill and musicianship.
Yeah.
But it just never. There were just never a band that resonated or clicked with me. But this one absolutely did in all the right ways. It is just a phenomenal album.
Yeah. Yeah.
Steve Martin loves to eat fishing. Oh wow, yes, I love Steve Martin. He's just amazing.
I don't think Steve Martin is the only one who likes to eat at the Fiction Kitchen, and so it's great that you ran into him twice. Yeah,
I would love to meet him in person. He's someone I remember when he was doing King Tut in the 70s on SNL, because I'm old, but
he lives right up the road.
Really?
Yeah, he's over in Nashville.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
All right. My next, actually, I think this week, Steep Canyon Rangers has a new album coming out. Might have to swing by and pick that up. This next album is The Tall Grass by Japanese psychedelic rock band Kikagakumoyo, which I was introduced to this band by my brother-in-law David, who grew up in Japan. He speaks it fluently. Kikagakumoyo roughly translates to geometric patterns. They've done several albums, but very few people have heard of them. A phenomenal band, kind of like that psychedelic, trippy 60s rock music, but with a modern edge and spin to it. I saw them last November or October when they played at the Cat's Cradle, probably the last big music show I went to before the Rona just messed up everyone's lives. But another interesting story with the band Kikagakumoyo is they played at Bonnaroo Music Fest, and I go there every year, except 2020 again. And my brother-in-law, who speaks fluent Japanese, brought all of his Kikagakumoyo albums. And then right as they're about to get off stage, he just starts shouting at him in Japanese, like runs up to the stage, and I have no idea what he's saying. And then 20 minutes later, we are in the trailer with him, hanging out with the band. They're signing his albums. big conversation. I had no idea what they're talking about because everyone's speaking Japanese and I don't understand the language. But it was just a really cool experience. And I've been a fan of the band ever since I saw them that first time at Bonnaroo. And this is probably my favorite album of theirs. And they've done a lot of albums, but I think this one just crisp, professional, yet very chaotic and free-flowing, and one you definitely want to check out.
What year was it released?
This one was released. I actually do not know. Almost all of the language on here is in Japanese, except for just the words Kikagakumoyo and the tall grass. But so actually, I don't know that. Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
All right, let's have some RecordKrate bonus points. I named the artist. You named the album. I named the album title. You named the artist. Point blank. Troubadour. No Control. Eye in the Sky. The John Lennon Connection. And Tapestry. All right. Very good, Chris.
My next album, this is one I bought last year here at this very store, The Blues Brothers. I love the Blues Brothers movie, with Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi. It's directed by John Landis, a fantastic movie with a fantastic soundtrack. And, believe it or not, John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd had some music chops. They actually could play, they could sing, they could work a stage, and that shows in the album. And they also had some really phenomenal, people like, Lou Marini, Donald Duck Dunn, a lot of blues and jazz masters all come together to make this album. And it looks cool. It sounds cool. It is cool. And it's not really the movie soundtrack. It's just music that they've made, and some of it's on the movie, but some of it's not. And it's just damn good music, and one everyone should check out.
There you go. Let's take a look at some of these answers. Cat Stevens. That's a good guess, but sorry, Mike. Eddie Money has No Control. The Alan Parsons Project is Eye in the Sky. Carole King does Tapestry. Space Jesus, Carole King is correct, but Mike came in first. Did we get everybody? Point Blank. And the John Lennon Collection. And Troubadour. There you go.
All right. My next one is, I'm going to zoom up on this one just a little bit. This is Cyro by English electronic artist Aphic Twin. His real name is Richard James. He is a master and a legend of just electronic ambient music. Albums like this, Selected Ambient Works, Cheetah, Drugs. But this one is my favorite. It's probably his most poppy, clicky, but it just sounds phenomenal. And this album was considered in many groups' top 10 for that particular genre. Absolutely love this album. And if you're not into just electric noise, electronica, and it's not electronic dance music, it's not that I mean, he innovates with his sound, and I think he puts a lot of it into this album, and it's just a great album and one that I recommend. His last album that he came out with, if memory serves, was Cheetah, and he did all that on just like a little Casio keyboard, but this one he brings out all the stops. Phenomenal album.
Oh yeah, I got some of his stuff too. I thought Cheetah turned out really well for him to use the keyboards.
I loved it. I thought it was just an interesting departure from what he always did, and he made it work. I thought it was a great album.
Absolutely.
My next one is one that I got at a previous record store day. Got that at RecordKrate, and that is Disco Jets by Todd Rundgren and Utopia. I love Todd Rundgren. I love Utopia. When they're together, it's just phenomenal. And this is definitely a 70s disco album. It just sounds good and it is fun. And I love this album. I can't say enough good things about it. It's a fun disco music you can dance to.
If someone were to get a Todd Rundgren Utopia record, what's the first record you suggest they buy?
The first one, I have it, and the name escapes me, but it has Todd Rundgren on the cover like this, with his hands out, with some weird art in between. The name escapes me.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe someone could get RecordKrate bonus points if they can name it. But it's just that is a good one. I believe that's the one where they do like this synth version of the Star Trek theme song. And that's just probably the one I would recommend. I'm having a brain fart this morning. Maybe I need more coffee.
Coffee. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, the Richard James record is really good. I like that he named an album after himself using his real name whenever. And Aphic Twin's gone by lots of different names, but everything I have of his is just Aphic Twin. The next album is Reach For It by George Duke. Love this album. It's funky. It's fun. It's just an amazing album, and one that everyone should listen to. It's one of the albums you can just play in the background and go about your day, and you're going to have a great day. It's fun. It's funky, but the musicianship and the music and the singing is just really phenomenal. I love this album, and one that I recommend. I have 3 or 4 George Duke's albums, but this one is by head and shoulders my favorite. And I was introduced to George Duke by a friend of mine.
So is the Todd Rundgren record called Todd? I don't know. Something Anything is one I would recommend. All righty. Yeah. Oops, wrong planet. My entry into Utopia. Still my go-to.
Yeah, I can't believe I can't remember the name of the album, but yeah, he's standing like that without a shirt on. He's all ripped and thin, and his hands are out like that, and he's like holding like some kind of weird artwork in his hand, like they drew on the album cover. It's really a cool album cover.
Yeah. Let's finish these right here, then I can ask another group. Point Blank. The band is Point Blank. Troubadour is J.J. Kell. We got that one. We got that one. And we got that one. So I'm going to ask 5 more. Okay. I named the album title. You named the band. The B-52s. Wings Over America. Mob Rules. Lodger. And Rust Never Sleeps. Alrighty. Back to bars. Back to bars. Back to bars. Back to bars. I don't. Sorry, I missed that connection, Kurt.
I know at least 2 of those that you mentioned. But
well, don't say it out loud.
No, I won't say.
Okay.
All right. I got 2 albums left here. The next one is Under the Pressure by The War on Drugs.
Ooh.
Very modern indie style rock music. It's really, really well made, well produced, well performed. There's a song called Red Eyes, which is one of my favorite songs that they play here. It's a good 6-minute song. It's also a great one if you want a running playlist. Put that on it, you'll get some steps out. They did an album after this called Slave Ambient, which I had such high hopes for it. And it's a good album, but this to me is just the epitome of what the War on Drugs This is the good War on Drugs. Let me just say that. I saw them 2 years ago live, and they sound just like the album, just consummate musicianship, passion for what they're doing. Good album. 100% recommend. I play this at least 2 or 3 times a year. I'm spinning this with all my other stuff. This is in my continual rotation. Just a fantastic album. It's kind of dark and kind of moody, but it does have those light beats when you need them. So
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I like War on Drugs. Is it The War on Drugs?
The War on Drugs. Oh, I mean, it's and the album is Lost in a Dream. Under the Pressures was the big hit song on there, so I had a little flub on my part. But
Yeah.
Definitely recommend this. Pick it up. And then my last album, and this one is, before I pull it out, is a phenomenal performer with a phenomenal band, one of which went on to do their own career. Probably one of the best fusion jazz albums ever made. And it's not Miles Davis or anyone like that. And this album is just an amazing album. And that is The Epic by Kamazi Washington. Fantastic album. It is 3 albums in there, and all together it tells this epic story, and all just through music and through like songs. It's haunting, it's dark, yet it has this pulse and this energy, this vibrancy to the music. Thundercat does backup, and he ended up having his own career. I've seen both of them live, Kamazi Washington and Thundercat, 2 of my favorites. And I bought this album. I saw him at Bonnaroo, I believe it was 2017. Then he heard he was doing another set, and I dropped what I was doing to see that. And then I saw a third one he did. And literally the day I got back, I bought this album, and I don't regret it. This is an amazing album from an amazing musician with an amazing set of professionals to back them up.
Mm-hmm.
If you have not heard this album, I 100% recommend this. I will recommend this even over Tutu by Miles Davis. I think this is probably one of the best modern fusion jazz albums ever made. And it was made very recently, which just to show that just because it's old, just because something is new does not mean it can't be an instant classic. And I consider this in that category. Is just amazing. And I love it.
There you go.
100% recommend The Epic.
There you go. I want to share this so we can see the Todd record you speak of.
There it is.
Yeah. So that's the one you speak of. There you go. So what was the name of the Kamazi record?
Oh, it's called The Epic.
The Epic. Yeah.
The Epic. And it literally is, yeah, Kamazi is amazing live. And once again, you get a whole story over the course of 3 albums in here, or 3 separate vinyls. It's almost like a little mini box set, but he wasn't, it's just, he's phenomenal. I can't say enough good things about this particular album. Probably one of my favorite albums of all time.
Wow.
And one that doesn't get a lot of attention, sadly. And I'm okay with that. The album doesn't have to be popular for me to enjoy it. But those were my 24 albums, 24, 25 albums. 27 since the Kamazi was 3 albums in 1.
I didn't tell him a number, folks, so don't.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. So you pulled that many. That's cool. Yeah, wonderful. Let's see. I'm doing 5 things all at 2:45. Let's see where we are, folks. Surely someone knows the answer to Lodger. Who's the artist who recorded that record, Lodger? Wings Over America? Mob Rules? The B-52s? Oh, here we go. Iggy Pop. That's not on there, but the B-52s and Neil Young's on there too. You know, speaking of David Bowie records, I really like the Iggy Pop record where David was part of.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely knew Lodger the minute you said
Idiot.
it.
I think it's called Idiot. Is that correct?
Which one? The Iggy Pop?
The Idiot. Yeah. Okay, folks. Lodger and here we go. Bowie's correct, Kurt, but Wings is not correct.
I would have said the exact same things, Wings and Bowie, but yeah, Lodger was part of his what they called the Berlin trilogy, along with Low and Station to Station, I believe. But Lodger fit in there.
Yeah,
Great album.
Yeah. Is that Sunshine bothering you?
Oh, it's fine. No, I like it. It gives me that nice little shadow play on the face.
All you need is that.
Looked like that villain from that old Star Trek episode where one was half black and half white, the other was half white and half black, and when they fought, they would glow with energy.
That is correct. Kurt came with it first, though. Well, yeah. How's everybody doing with their Record Crate bonus points? I think a lot of people wrap it up. Myra's been commenting after the stream is over, after it's posted to YouTube. Donald comes with Paul McCartney and Wings. Okay, I give you that. On the sheet it says Paul McCartney. Wait a minute, Wings Over America? That can't be. Darn it, Kurt! I'm gonna give you points for that. Yeah, Wings. Yeah,
that's what I thought it would have been.
How can Paul McCartney and Wings? How can Wings Over America not be a Wings record? So so Kurt and Donald both get that.
Yeah, I never saw Wings as being Paul McCartney's band. He was just part of the band.
Yeah, but I think I've seen it written before, Paul McCartney and Wings. Yeah.
Marketing.
Which Iggy Pop record had a piece in. So it was called The Idiot. And it was recorded in Berlin also. And I don't know the timeline. I don't know if it was before or after trilogy. And was Tony Visconti part of the Iggy Pop record? I don't know.
That I don't know.
Just know I've listened to it and I enjoyed listening to it. And it's really cool. But it's the one that has China Girl on it. And which is really an interesting listen if you care for the 80s Bowie China Girl. Yeah. Let's see if there's some other ones I can ask. Born to Run. Crime of the Century. Tonight, I'm Yours. Cornerstone. Damn, the Torpedoes. That's 5 right there. That could be really easy. They're all classic rock. Yeah.
I think I know 3 or 4 of those.
I missed your intro. Does your guest own his own record store?
No, I do not. I am one of Kirk's crate keepers. So I try to, even though lately with changing our procedures because of coronavirus, but I try to work a shift a month, come in here, and I love it. It's a passion of mine. I love being here. Kirk's a great boss. And it's fun, just get to listen to music. Yeah. He's the one that owns the stores. I just work for him on occasion.
Today it's 3. Tomorrow might be 2. Next month it might be 1. Gosh. Yeah. And so yeah. All right, folks. Chris, everybody, thanks for joining. Cheers, everyone. Hope you have a fabulous day.
Cheers.
I'll be back on this afternoon. I'm going to unbox the Record Store Day Drops 2020 October. And then I'll come back tonight for a 20-minute record sale. And just cool things like that. Any closing words, Chris?
thanks for having me on the show. I had a blast. I hope to do it again, but I had a wonderful time, and thanks for being awesome, supporting music and doing what you do.
Thanks.
You're amazing. Love it. And
We still got some points out there, folks. Crime of the Century, Tonight I'm Yours, Cornerstone, Born to Run, and Damn the Torpedoes.
some of those are easy.
Cheers, Kurt. He's at the Wake Forest location right now, Sean, hanging out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I live in Wake Forest, so I come here every so often. Love it.
It must have been the leaf blower
Yeah,
association.
yeah, they own like 90% of the town apparently, because they're always blowing leaves in this place.
I tell you, the Wake Forest does take care of the street that the RecordKrate's on.
Yeah.
Another great show. Oh, thank you, Sean. And I want you back, Sean. I want you back. And I think Kurt has picked up some more records. So I'm looking forward to Kurt being back and cool things like that. Here we go. Super Tramp, Crime of the Century. That's correct. Born to Run, Bruce Springsteen. Damn the Torpedoes, Tom Petty. And what's left?
Cornerstone.
Tonight I'm Yours and Cornerstone. Yeah, let's see if we can get these done. The keyboard player for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, keyboard player for the Heartbreakers, did a cover of Joy Division, Love Will Tear Us Apart.
Oh, wow.
And I enjoyed listening to it. Yeah. Okay, folks. Cornerstone, who did that? Who recorded the record Cornerstone? Who recorded Tonight I'm Yours? Tonight I'm Yours is 1981, and Cornerstone is 79. I know you're out there somewhere. I think they're fairly easy questions. You can rack up 50 RecordKrate bonus points. While you're there, Chris, are you going to do any crate digging?
If you're okay with it, I might just do a little bit. Actually, I might even hit you up with some of the record store day stuff. I was looking through the list, and there's some good stuff dropping on Saturday.
You can't buy that now?
Oh, I know. I was just looking at their website this morning and see what was getting released, and there are some great things.
All righty.
Yeah, I might do a little crate digging if you're okay with it.
Yeah. So what we have, folks, is Cornerstone. Hold on a second. What was that LWTUA cover on? It was on YouTube, Kurt. And I'm glad Kurt came in with the answers I was getting ready to give him. It was on YouTube, and I don't recall his name, but you have to key in his name and then Love Will Tear Us Apart, and you can listen to it. Now, granted, it was a wonderful homage to Joy Division. Kurt's got the last of the two RecordKrate bonus points, so he got 50 and 50 there. Looking forward to joining your show. I have a few records on the way that would really like to show. A couple Aussie acts, most probably 2 weeks' time. Yeah, that'll be great, Sean. Looking forward to it. Thank you, everybody. Have fun. See you later. Rock and roll. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
I had a great time.